I know this has been a really, really crazy time that we're living in right now. And I can't help but notice as I keep going through social media and I'm on the iTrackBites Facebook group and I'm on Instagram and I'm on all of these things, and I see so many people talking about how they are struggling with staying on track during quarantine. I understand that it's hard, there's a lot happening, and our brains are essentially in kind of this fight or flight mentality right now. But I wanted to share with you a couple of things that I'm doing personally to stay on track during this quarantine. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to talk about all things staying on track in quarantine. Now, if you're stumbling across this video and quarantine happens to be over by the time you find it, which would be amazing, these tips still apply. These are just things that I have been actively doing to make sure that I can stay on track and I'm fueling myself right and I'm hopefully losing a couple of pounds while I'm in quarantine. I know it's a lot harder because a lot of the things we're used to, maybe we go to the grocery store a couple times a week to make sure we have everything we need to fuel our body and to stick to our meal plan. Maybe we go to a gym 5 times a week and the gyms are all closed. I know things, routines, and habits have all changed, but rest assured there are still things you can do to stay on track during quarantine, and I am here today to share with you my personal tips, the things that I am actively doing as we speak in real time to make sure that I stay on track during quarantine. Tip number 1 is I am still tracking everything. I open my iTrackBites app a bajillion times a day. And okay, maybe that's a slight over-exaggeration, but a lot of times a day. Not only do I track everything I eat regardless, hear me, of if it's a bad day, or a good day. If I'm overeating or perfectly on plan, everything goes in my tracker, and I have an accountability partner who will tell you that that is in fact true. My bar turns red all the time because I'm always dipping into my weeklies, which is fine. That's what they're there for. But I put everything in my tracker so I am aware of what I am doing. Knowledge is power, my friends, and if you can see everything that you're consuming and you can actually like tell yourself, oh, maybe I'm overdoing it a little bit, I should probably cut back. You're more likely to do that if you see the evidence right in front of you. So I use the app iTrackBites to track everything, and as you guys know, I am on the Carb Conscious plan, which is the equivalent to Weight Watchers Points Plus, the old plan. I don't do Smart Points. Nope, not for me. So I do Carb Conscious on iTrackBites, and I absolutely love it. It is the app that I open all the time. All the time. One of the things I have been doing lately is pre-tracking whenever I can. I woke up this morning, I knew automatically what I was having for dinner tonight, so while I was having breakfast, I also pre-tracked my dinner. And I also pre-tracked the 2 peanut butter cookies that were sitting on the counter that I knew I was going to eat later. So I pre-tracked as much as possible to kind of help me see what I have left to work with throughout the day. So if I find myself in the kitchen wanting to eat something, wanting to go off plan, wanting to do whatever, wanting to improvise, I can look at my tracker and be like, oh hey, you have 6 bites left to work with for the day. Use them wisely. And that has been tremendously helpful. Tip number 2, I actually already mentioned, and that is I use my weeklies. So many people are afraid of using their weekly points or bites, and I'm here to tell you, do not be afraid. They are there for a reason. And especially in this time when so many people are having such a hard time staying within their daily allotment, that a lot of them will just kind of throw in the towel if they happen to have to dip into weeklies. Don't throw in the towel, my friends. The weeklies are there for a reason every single day. No joke. Every single day, I think except one as of late. I vlogged the one. It was a perfect day. But other than that, every single day, I have dipped into my weeklies. Sometimes it's 1 or 2, sometimes it's 7 or 8, I will admit. But the weeklies are there to be used, and knowing that they're there helps ease my mind a little bit about if I want a slightly more indulgent treat, or if I want to have a glass of wine, or if I want to have an extra piece of cheese, or if I just happen to go over my bites. It doesn't matter because the weeklies are there. They are there, use them, it gives you that freedom, and especially in quarantine, it's nice to feel like you have that freedom. Number 3, and you guys are gonna hate to hear it, but it's to get active. I have been getting, I was going to say very, very active, but that's a lie. I have not been very, very active. My activity level has actually changed pretty significantly since I don't have a bunch of errands to run, because when you run your errands, you're walking around stores, I park farther away from the door, I get all of these extra steps in, and that entire job listing has disappeared for me. I don't have to do that right now because we're in quarantine, and I also don't have a gym to go to. So I have been having to get intentionally more active, and some days it works better than others, but a couple of things that I have been doing. First, hello, hashtag quarantine. Has anybody else been blitz cleaning their house like a crazy person? Because I know I have. And let me tell you, on a day that I am going hardcore in house cleaning and housewifing and homemaking, the amount of steps that I get, the amount of movement is huge. Absolutely ginormous. And I'm exhausted by the end of the day because while it wasn't straight up exercise, it wasn't a deliberate workout, it was in fact calorie burning activity. And that is really, really important. Even if you're not feeling like working out right now, get out there and do something active. Clean your house, run around with your kids, walk the dog, walk yourself, pop on an audiobook and just go outside. The weather is finally starting to warm up and be beautiful everywhere. I'm in Minnesota, so once we're starting to warm up, everybody else below us should be pretty warm by now. And it's wonderful to be able to go outside and get some steps in. Another thing I've been doing is I have been adjusting to the home gym life. We do not have a lot of stuff for our home gym, but we definitely have the essentials. We have a couple of dumbbells, we have some elastic resistance bands, we have some mats, and we have a Beachbody On Demand subscription. And I ended up falling in love with a new workout program. And this is not the time to talk about said workout program, but know that I found something that I got excited about, which was actually another tip underneath this whole get active thing, is find something fun. Find something exciting to do to get active, and that is exactly what I did. I am so fired up about this new program. The new program has you working out 4 days a week for 40 minutes or less, and the impact, I'm only on week 3 of 8, but I can already feel the impact the workout is having on my body, and it is very motivational to be able to feel progress and to be able to feel stronger. So I found something that makes it fun. I have scheduled that activity, and I do a lot of NEAT, non-activity exercise, thermogenesis, or movement and things like that. And that really, really helps me stay on track because I'm burning some extra calories. So if I happen to eat some extra calories, it evens itself out. Number 4 works really well for me, and that is I'm focused on protein. Now, I'm typically focused on protein, but even more so while in quarantine. If I'm finding myself to be munchy or hungry or like just having one of those days, and we all have them, especially while we're stuck in quarantine, I tend to go downstairs now, and instead of being like, give me the cookies, give me the chips, give me the things, if I'm gonna snack, if I'm gonna eat something extra, I try to eat something that has more protein in it. And I have been doing a great job of making sure I'm getting at least 100 grams of protein every day. And I find that having that protein in my body really, really, truly helps me feel satiated, satisfied. I mean, I had 40 ounces of protein for breakfast this morning. It is 2:15 p.m. and I am not hungry. I am not hungry. I'm skipping lunch because I'm gonna just have a snack instead of an actual meal because dinner time is gonna be right around the corner. And if I eat now, I'm not gonna be hungry later. So this is working out really, really well. Heavy protein keeps me satisfied. So as long as I focus on protein, I'm much more likely to be like, but am I really hungry though? And usually I can talk myself out of going to the kitchen and having a little overeating session. Tip number 5 is a fun one. I have a treat every single day. It might be in the form of a protein brownie or something like that, but it is something that in my mind I have decided is a treat. It's usually sweet. Maybe it's a bowl of ice cream, and by a bowl I mean a serving of ice cream, but I even have these little itty bitty bowls. Oh, you guys, the little weight loss hacks I could tell you and probably should tell you, but it's a little bowl of ice cream or an Eat Me Guilt-Free brownie. Sometimes it's peanut butter and a banana. Whatever it is, in my mind, it triggers the you are having a treat mentality, which makes me feel not deprived. And that allows me to be like, no, it's okay. You don't have to binge eat any sugar right now because you get to have this treat later, after dinner, while you're sitting chilling watching TV or reading your book. And that usually prevents me from doing something that I'm gonna feel guilty about later. Number 6 has nothing to do with activity or water or food, but it is honestly something I'm doing to keep me on track during quarantine, and that is taking care of my mental health. Because we all know that when we are in better mental health, it is easier to take the steps necessary to keep us in good physical health. Mental health and physical health are very, very much intertwined, and when one starts to go wonky, the other one will tend to follow. So I have been very mindful of my mental health during this entire time. I've run the gamut of emotions, quite frankly, from being totally okay with being in quarantine to being very not okay with being in quarantine and having everything shut down, to being really into following everything that's related to COVID-19 and the news and all that jazz, to taking a step back and trying to have nothing to do with it. And I've finally figured out the things that I need to do for me to keep my mental health in check. A couple of things that I am doing is making sure I take regular breaks from work. Even if it's just an hour or so, I'm giving myself a break in the afternoon. I'm making sure I'm doing things that I want to do. I'm giving myself a little bit of self-care. And hand to the heavens, the biggest thing that has made such a difference in my mental health while in quarantine specifically is I have stopped watching the press conferences about the coronavirus. At first, when this first started and the daily press conferences and the news and just all the media started flooding in with all of this information and misinformation and whatever the case may be, I watched and listened to and read all of it, and I noticed the direct impact it had on my mental health, and it was terrible. I was anxious. I was like, I don't even know, like, even when I was still feeling like pretty positive on the outside, subconsciously, I think I was really anxious and kind of scared and just not doing well with the whole thing. And about a week and a half, 2 weeks in to listening to press conferences and stuff every day, I was like, Brianna, you've got to stop listening. And I have. I don't click on coronavirus related articles anymore. I've stopped listening to the press conferences, and I really try to get my news specifically from my state's government, just to, is my stay-at-home order done or not? Give me just what I need to know as someone in my life circumstance at this moment. And I've stepped away from everything else. And that has helped a lot. So guard your mental health and figure out what you can do to keep your mental health in check, because that will help you keep your physical health in check. And the last thing that I do while in quarantine to make sure I'm on track is rest. Plain and simple. Like I said already, I make sure I give myself breaks throughout the day to just kind of disconnect for a couple of minutes, rest, relax. I've started taking at least one day off of work a week completely, which has been very, very helpful. And at night, my sleep is very, very valuable. I've been getting up early, which has been awesome. I've been really digging the early mornings. However, if I go to bed late, I do not dig those early mornings. So I have to make sure that I guard my sleep. I have an evening routine that helps me get ready to go into sleep mode. We're trying to get to bed at a reasonable hour. My goal is to be in bed by 10 o'clock at night, and I start shutting down at 9. I have an alarm that goes off on my phone that says, hey, go get ready for bed, because my rest is so important to me. And I find that the more well-rested I am, the more energy I have, the more likely I am to stay on track, the more focus I have. And like I said, this applies outside of quarantine, but it's especially helpful in quarantine as well. So those are my tips, 7 tips for how I stay on track during this very weird and confusing time of quarantine. Do you have any specific tips that you've been doing to make sure you stay on track while we're in this weird situation? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, as it really helps me out. And if you haven't already joined the Diva and the Divine community, we would love to have you. We are a very open-minded and welcoming group of people that love to share everything about health, wellness, and happiness, and we'd love for you to join our community. Just click that little red button down there and you'll be a member of our team. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. I hope you are well. Hang in there. We will get through this. I'll see you next time. Bye.